life. Done my time and served my sentence. Dress me up and watch me die. If it feels good, tastes good, it must be mine. Dynasty decapitated, you just might see a ghost tonight. And if you don't know now, you know. I'm taking back the crown. I'm all dressed up and naked. I see what's burning today. Oh yeah, the crown.
All right, you hear the music, you already know the summoning ritual has begun and the demon has appeared. Demon Phil here with Hell of a Show, and we have got a hell of a guest lineup on here tonight. We got a couple of guests in the back, in the hot seats back there, ready to go, and we're going to have some fun with them, getting to know them, their projects, and what goes into what they're working on. Before we do, please, please, please remember to go ahead and share this out, get more eyes on this, and if you will, go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. That way you don't miss out on any of the content, because we're coming at you hot with a lot of stuff here lately. Now, before everybody gets too comfortable on seeing this glorious background, not the background, not the foreground, the background, then we're going to go ahead and bring up my guest on this one, and we're going to start having some fun here. So let's go ahead and introduce them up. We have got Dan Connor and Drew Edwards.
Hello.
Welcome to the show, guys.
Howdy.
Thank
Good
you.
to be here.
Hey, I appreciate y'all being here. I know we had some technical difficulties in the back with Drew, so we've got Drew's picture up here, but he looks all kinds of nice and warm and kind of like he's just on a tropical island all by himself enjoying life. So I'm going to kind of live vicariously through his picture while we're having this show.
Ironically, I'm actually in a pumpkin patch there. So, but also good. Not maybe as good as a tropical island, but still a good thing.
Awesome. Now, before we get started into all of the fun that we have on this show and all the information that's involved in all this, I'm going to go ahead and give each of you a chance to go ahead and let everybody know who you are, what you do, where to find you. So we'll go ahead and start off with Drew on this one, then I'll go to Dan.
So my name is Drew Edwards. I am the writer and creator of the long-running Halloween Man comics, now in its 22nd year. Currently, you can find that on Global Comics. I am a Ringo nominee for Best Writer, a Best of Austin winner, and a member of the PEN America Fellowship of Writers. I think that just about covers it.
Nice resume. I'm good. Now, Dan, what about you? Let's go ahead and find out a little bit more about you.
Yeah, so the most prominent work of mine that I'm probably known best for is Nightmare Before Christmas comics. I was the colorist for Zero's Journey, which was 20 issues that came out from Tokyo Pop and Disney Manga, and recently announced I'm also the writer for the upcoming series Battle for the Pumpkin King, and that'll be available next year. I have my own series, My Gal the Zombie, and I've done covers for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Archie. So those are some of my biggest things I've enjoyed. Also, I've colored some Halloween Man, so even better to be on here with Drew. You can find me at connorcomics.com.
Excellent. So I just got to let everybody know watching this that I did not plan this for them to actually know each other on there. It happened, and then as soon as they come up into the green room, they are like, "Hey, what's going on? Hey, what's going on? This is a cool surprise." And I'm kind of sitting over here going, "Okay, talk about surprises." Yes, because I didn't know that y'all knew each other. So this is fun that I actually have that y'all have background together on this, and we can kind of delve into that a little bit as well. But first of all, what I'd like to kind of start off with on this one is I'm going to ask us a few questions on here. It's not Squid Game style, so don't think that anybody's hiding something behind your back of your head and fixing to pull the trigger or anything. We don't play that game here. I may have my finger on the ejecto button. You never know. So I'm going to ask a series of questions on this. First question I'm going to ask is, because I am such a fan, if you can't tell, I got to ask Drew, would it be Cobra Kai or Miyagi-Do that you would choose?
Eagle Fang.
Oh, gosh. I'm good with that. I love it whenever people go outside the box on that one. Yes. You stay. We're good. All right. The pressure is all on Dan now. We're going to figure out a good one for him. So Dan.
Oh, different questions. Okay.
Oh yeah, we're not going to give you the same question. We can't do that.
Good, because I don't know what I would answer.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
Oh my goodness. I'd like to say neither. I know definitely not Star Trek, so I guess I can go with Star Wars, but I don't want to be held to that.
Very nice. I will accept that. That's good. That's good right there. I like that.
Thank
I
you.
like how
Sorry.
there's explanation to what you're doing because you actually feel like there's something underneath your seat at that point, thinking you're just going to drop through the floor.
Yeah.
We got to keep it interesting here. Now, y'all work within the indies realm of the comic industry. Have done quite a bit of work. The accolades are definitely there for what y'all have done. First off, I'm going to ask Drew, going with your flagship title that you've got there with Halloween Man, go ahead and kind of give us the premise of what that's about and kind of where it's going.
So my elevator pitch that I use at conventions is Halloween Man is best described as the weird adventures of a zombie superhero and his sexy mad scientist girlfriend as they fight everything from vampire, dinosaurs, steampunk, mummy, pirates, and in our new issue, as you can see, Mr. Hyde. It's very weird and quirky. If you like monsters, you like having a good time, I definitely think it would be up your alley.
It sounds like a lot of fun with that. Now with Dan, we were talking about some of the stuff. You mentioned some of the things you've worked on, and I've got some artwork for some different things on there. But one thing that really caught my attention was The Nightmare Before Christmas because it's got such a huge cult following. It didn't do well in the theaters whenever it first came out, and then all of a sudden it exploded. Over everything that's out there. You had the Zero's Journey on there, and now you'll be working on what's the next one called again?
It's called Battle for Pumpkin King, and it's about Oogie Boogie and Jack competing to see who would be Pumpkin King, and it's a prequel. So,
Okay.
yeah, so it goes back a few years. The characters are a little younger, and then we see how things come about.
So it more or less explains the animosity that they hold
Yes.
between each other.
It does. I don't want to give too much spoilers, and I'm not sure if I say too much, but yeah, it shows the kind of an origin of a rivalry between them.
There, I had you covered. We're good.
Yeah, we're good. No one knows who said it. No,
Yeah,
I think that's in the press release, so I think I'm good for
that. No, that's awesome that you have an IP that you're running with on there that has such a huge following, and your work is awesome that you're doing on there with it. I mean, it's got the same feel of the original, coming out there and having that pulse to it.
Yeah.
How do you take something like this? I'm going to ask you kind of a serious question on this one. How do you take this for, there's people that are, like I said, this cult following that's out there, but how do you present it to possibly potential, the more potential new backers that might be out there, or new followers? How do you make it where it's more of a draw to them?
Well, I do a lot of comic conventions, and most people are familiar with it. I don't think that I ever have met someone that I've had to describe Nightmare Before Christmas. I'll describe Zero's Journey to them, and I can tell them about that series and those comics. But I don't really have a pitch of just what Nightmare is. I mean, I guess if I did, I'd say it's about the king of Halloween Town going up against I could say against the villain Oogie Boogie, which ultimately it is in the movie, the original movie. But also when he comes to Christmas Town and everything that happens from there on when he makes some new discoveries in life. So that's probably not the best pitch. I just don't many people know it.
Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, it's something that has an automatic draw to it. It just, as long as you add that little extra twist, that fine tuning to whenever people come up there, it's the way that they're grabbed by it. Something like you're taking with Zero's Journey, that's a whole different take on things. And then to take a prequel and say, okay, you have so much fun with what's going on so far with this. Now we're going to go back in time, with the whole 88 miles an hour thing, and go straight back in time on this one and find out why this is so popular as it is because of what happened.
Yeah.
That is awesome to be able to do that and to be able to bridge off of that as well. And speaking of bridging off of things like there, I wanted to ask Drew on this one. You've got, of course, we talked about Halloween Man, and that is by far not the only thing that you've worked on. You've been just a smidgen busy over there as well yourself. You've got a lot of titles that are over there underneath, and you're working on something else to get the IP out there that you want a lot of people to know more about. That's kind of what I wanted to talk about is how is it that you make the transition going from comics into global comics?
Well, when Halloween Man, because of how long the history is, it's gone through a lot of different incarnations. It started out as a web comic. It's bounced around with a lot of different print publishers, small ones, ones all the way up to Image. The last 8 years, we've made our home at Comixology. I don't want to get too deep into the issues over at Comixology. I think everybody who's into comics is more or less aware. So what I will say is around October of last year, I started looking for a new home for my characters and my brand. I had a lot of good conversations with different publishers, everybody from Scout to IDW, but the people that I kept going back to were these guys at Global Comics. Now, I wasn't necessarily looking for another digital platform, but when I was having these meetings with them, I just was struck with how positive they were about the medium of comics as a whole, and what their plans were for like the next 4 or 5 years, and I really wanted to be involved with that. So it moving my characters there to be a brainer, and it's been a really great move. I have pretty much my entire back catalog on there. It's on there for free right now. It'll be free through the end of the year. So, you have no reason not to try out Global Comics and no reason not to try out Halloween Man. And we've not only got to our existing fan base with our new comics that we've put out, but thousands of new readers have discovered Halloween Man from comics, and that's very gratifying. It's been a wonderful experience so far, and I feel very grateful to be working with them.
And that's very cool that you're actually offering this out for everybody to get a feel for what's going on in the world that you're creating, so that they can get that foundation point underneath them. And so as you move forward, they don't feel like they're so far behind they can't catch up, and they don't even try at that point. Because I know there's a lot of creators that they have some amazing work, and they've been doing this for years and years, and then they come out with a campaign or a project or something, and you look at it going, I don't know exactly what's going on. It looks amazing, but I can't get caught up. That's awesome that you're able to do that and able to offer that for people to get in there to get a feel for it before it really starts taking off, because it seems like it's just about on that boiling point to erupt.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in comics outreach. Outside of, I think I try to make every new story as user friendly as possible. I kind of follow the old Jim Shooter rules that you have to put in a few touchstones in every issue so people can acclimate themselves to the character. Some of that, I put bios of all the recurring characters in each issue. I put a synopsis of what it's about. So one particular story arc looks interesting to you, you can just dive in and check it out. That was also the thought process of putting everything up there for free, because Halloween Man has a decent sized fan base, but there's still a lot of people that have not read it. And
right.
you know, being able to sort of circle them in and, you know, reach out to those people and say, hey, come over here and try this. That was paramount on my mind for the very reasons you just stated.
And I'm going to ask this of Dan is,
Sure.
kind of branching off of this, how do you take like the face of the brand that you're working on, you know, the creation of it, the foundation, the building points and everything? How do you take that and actually expand it to newer and different circles that are out there and get it to where it sticks and starts moving around a little bit more?
For Nightmare or for my other stuff, like My Girl the Zombie?
For your My Girl Zombie.
Yeah, so for that, I think that there's a lot to be said for face-to-face meeting people at conventions. You kind of already have a target audience at a convention. You know that they at least have something that they're familiar with comics fandom, and so I just share that it's about it's kind of like Bewitched but with a zombie instead of a witch, and a lot of times that'll you know, might appeal to somebody. Maybe the artwork does. So I try to make, that's one of my favorite pieces right there as well. So thanks for showing that. So I like to try to catch someone's attention with based on things they do like, things that they're familiar with.
And that's the best way to do it is you kind of reach out, figure, you know, get the feeling of how people are, you know, reacting to different things out there. And if it sticks, then it's something that you run with for as long as they'll go ahead and accept it with that. And it seems like both of you are really running with that idea because you are more invested into what the fans, the followers, the backers, whatever you want to call them at that point, are actually doing, instead of just sitting there going, I have an idea I want to try and let's go ahead and throw this out there. That's good to do every once in a while, yes. But if you're going to go ahead and build the actual IP and build the brand, you've got to go with what the fans are actually sticking to.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
That is great that y'all are able to do that and being able to actually get these grounding, you know, points with everything you've got going. So another question that I've got is dealing with of course, the social media, you know, you've got to have the presence for that, the ever presence, if you will. If you show that you're not there for a very short amount of time, then it's almost like you're just wiped from existence. You have to come back and start over. The slate is clean. So what are you doing on social media to kind of build your presence up to where it actually stands out a little bit more than normal? And I'm going to ask Drew this one first, and then Dan, I'm going to ask you as well.
You know, I try to keep a lively like presence, and also like I try not to just talk about my projects. I think when you see like Twitter or Facebook or what have you on, you know, so, you know, people putting their stuff out there on social media, a lot of the times you can get just kind of lost in like all the links and, you know, artwork and whatever. So like I will make sure that I'm like posting about like what movie I just saw, or you know, sometimes I'll even just like ask like a question. I'll be like, hey, you know, like we were just, you know, back in October, I was like, hey, what's your favorite sequel in the Halloween franchise? Or, you know, who's your favorite Universal monster? Who's your favorite monster from the Godzilla franchise? Because, you know, it's a way of getting people involved, you know, and having a discussion with you, because that's why we're all involved in fandom, is you know, that shared sense of, you know, this is the stuff that we enjoy. We want to hang out and talk to like-minded people. And I think you know, it's a bit like being at a convention that way. You know, like what Dan was saying about cons, I think also holds true for the way you handle your social media a lot of the times.
And Dan, what about you? Your answer on this one as well.
I don't do it much. I don't do that much social media advertising of My Girl the Zombie. When I have a new product, I post about it. But most of what I'm posting about is just when there's something new, whether it's My Girl the Zombie or Nightmare Before Christmas or Ninja Turtles. If, you know, when I have a new cover, like I post about that. But I don't really do a lot of marketing online. That was my first Turtles cover right there. So I'm very proud of that one. So Yeah, I could do better online, but I'm always divided up between different things. Um, so yeah, I like to just keep my work promoted, and then it's kind of bad that, with the exception of Mike Out the Zombie, I can just relate or rely on the existing fandoms of
Hmm.
Ninja Turtles or other series I've worked on, even like the Three Stooges or Pink Panther or Underdog. Those can kind of be they can kind of be have they can have their fan base already, so that helps when I can piggyback right on that.
Very nice. And I mean, I know, like I said, y'all have gotten quite a few things underneath your belt you've been working on and everything. And with Drew, you've got Halloween Man, which in and of itself, most people would go ahead and kind of look at that and look at your IP going, well, then everything he's got is automatically either comedy or horror, which is actually not true because I looked through some of your stuff on there and you've got a pretty good little variety of some stuff that you've got going on there. How do you how do you lock away different ideas and get them to where they don't bleed together too much onto different IPs to kind of make where it blurs it out?
There's certain things that I hold off on reading because I don't want to be influenced by them, because I do have a lot of influences. Like if you read my work, I think I'm somebody that reads, I wear my influences on my sleeve. But
Quite
there's certain things
literally.
like early. Yeah, quite literally, that is true. I have my influences literally tattooed on me. But you know, there's certain things that I've actually kind of started to go out of my way to avoid. Like early on, when I started doing Halloween Man, I remember that I got a negative review in the local newspapers art section, calling it the poor man's version of Hellboy, and that really stuck with me. So
Hmm.
I actually started kind of going out of my way to not read Hellboy, because I didn't want to. It seems like Mike Mignola and me have like some similar influences already and some similar
Hmm.
interests. So I just didn't want to be directly influenced by Hellboy himself. So I have read some Hellboy, but I typically wait. Like if it's something that out of that universe that comes out, I typically wait up to like a year or so before I even take a look at it.
And you do. I
Yeah,
mean, you have a lot of there's a lot of variety in just even the artwork that's involved in Halloween Man and some of the other things that you're doing on there. And that does create more of a draw to a bigger market viewership audience because you're no longer picking just the Halloween people to go over there and market to. You're no longer picking just the comedy, just the uh, if it's a particular style, like you said, if it's Mike Magnolia, if you got fans of them over there, of course they're going to jump over because you have a it's a unique way of kind of bringing that out. It's the best way I can explain it. It's not by any means the exact same, in which we all know that because you want to put your own emphasis onto your own work on there, but it definitely expands on what's already out there with the following that's on there with Mike Magnolia stuff, which is awesome because a lot of people have tried and it doesn't go so well because they try to overdo. It's the
Yeah.
one come with a little bit of humility and say, we already know this has already been set to this level. I just want to be, right up here somewhere where this level is actually got a bridge up in there somewhere. And I see that you're doing that, and that is awesome that you're able to do that.
Well, thank you.
That is very cool. And it kind of leads into my next question for Dan because
sure.
you've got a lot of IPs that of course already have the followings and already have had a lot of time for people to kind of settle into, but you're actually taking it and giving it a different spin. Like it's got a different feel to it, a different texture. Sometimes it's not even, it's the same character, but you'll take a different influence and just overlap it as if
Yeah,
it was two images going straight together. So, how many different images have you kind of really worked with as far as IPs? And are you looking at, like, is there one in particular that you haven't touched yet that you're just dying to get a hold of?
Well, I really wanted to work on Archie comics, and I had wanted to do that for a number of years. And for whatever reason, like I had good conversations with them, and then it would never panned out. So when I approached them last year about doing exclusive comic store or independent exclusive covers, that's what worked. So that I'm really proud of. Archie was one I really wanted to work on. Before that, it was Ninja Turtles that I really wanted to work on. Actually, kind of in the middle. Was really pushing Archie, and then when they were wanting to work for them, and then when they started doing like their New Look series, the one written by Mark Waid, then I said to them at one convention, like, well, I tried to learn to draw like in the Archie style, but now y'all are publishing something different. So in the meantime, I got work on Turtles, and then was able to loop back around to Archie. So, I mean, there's always characters like She-Hulk that I'd love to work on. I've never done anything with She-Hulk, but I have done some background uncredited flat colors for Spider-Man and for Wonder Woman and Batgirl and Batman. So sometimes even if it's not one of the premier creators on a book, there's a lot that I've been able to work on. But yeah, X-Men and Harley Quinn. I'd like to work on Harley Quinn. And She-Hulk. Who knows? Maybe those would be. Maybe I could pursue those enough to work on those one day.
And you mentioned a lot of the titles that I'm sure a lot of the viewers are probably like, I've seen it. But the cool thing is whenever you see it, but you actually, like you said, you meld those together with your style, with what's originally there, and sometimes you come up with something that's just, I mean, y'all have already seen a couple of things up here, but I mean, I'll just bring up the Ninja Turtles again because this one really stuck out to me because it gives a different feel for Raph.
Okay.
He was definitely one of the darker, of the Ninja Turtles that was there, but this gives him the darker feel, but more a comedic form. It gives him a lighter style, I guess I should say. It's still the dark hue about him, but it gives it where he's more presentable. I really like how you were able to bring that out, and that's where the uniqueness comes out in what you do with that. And it's awesome that you're able to have that and present that, and people are accepting of that too.
Yeah, thanks.
No, that's something very cool. Now, have you ever been approached by the creator of the Ninja Turtles and said, that's some great stuff you got there, or has he acknowledged what you've done on there?
I have never. Well, I only contact I've had with Peter Laird is online. Thankfully, I was able to post on his on one of his blog posts, and he responded to that. But for Kevin Eastman, I've had a bit of contact with him. I don't know that he's said, "Oh, great job on what you do with the Turtles," but he's yeah, I think he has. I think like because I've asked him to sign some of my covers that I did. I've asked him to sign them, and he'll say like, "Oh, this is cool," or something like that. But it's not like he walked up to me and was like, "Oh, hey, what you're doing is amazing." But he's been very positive when I've shown him and said, "Hey, I don't know if you saw this, but this was my work." And when I did that one time at a convention, he was walking by my table, and I kind of got his attention then because I couldn't wait in line at that show to get to talk to him. So I was like, "Oh, hey, have you seen this, Raphael?" And he had seen it. He did have it already. I was going to give him a copy of it, but he said he had it. So that was pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I know that in what I've read about him and everything is he is very, very positive about anything that has anything to do with his brand. It doesn't matter who drew it, who messed with it, who did whatever. He picks up as much as he possibly can just because it's his brand in a different perspective is all he cares about. It could be in stick figure form, and he thinks it's the greatest thing ever because somebody took the time to draw it.
Yeah.
That is great. And I again, that's why I love the indies so much with that. I actually have Kevin Eastman on schedule coming up next year. So I will keep your artwork on hold and go ahead and present that to him while he's up on, and you'd be like, "Hey, what do you think about this one here? With Ninja Turtles and everything."
Yeah, that's great.
What's your thoughts on this? And just kind of get him to to let us know and give them different variations, of course, because I like to think outside the box, because too many creators come up and they get asked the same questions every time. What's your origin story? Do you like to draw? Where's your inspiration? I don't like the same stories. I like to ask very different things, and that way we get to know people a lot better. And a lot of times, if you go ahead and incorporate outside of the box of what we're talking about, it's very cool with that. One thing I want to mention is, in going with that, immediately Dan and Drew were both with each other going, man, it's great to see you here. Great to see you here. It wasn't oh man, this is my time. Can you reschedule for another time? Because I got to have my time on this show, and this is my interview. And it's some people, like Dan's over there laughing, but I'm sure that some people are kind of sitting over there going, ooh, yeah, I've seen that before on shows, and that doesn't come out very pretty. What we like to present on these shows is especially the positivity that's involved in there. And you definitely see that from both of these creators, not just in their work, but in their practice. And that is immensely important in what you're doing, to go ahead and create a brand and just show yourself as a good person. I mean, that's really cool with that. So I got to give props right off the bat to both of y'all for doing that. And you've definitely got respect of the demon on that one.
Well, Dan and I are old buddies at this point. And as Dan mentioned, he's actually worked on, several issues of Halloween Man. So one of the things I like about the comic book industry is it's kind of got this, small town feel in a way that, like, everybody knows everybody, and it's nice. It's nice when you get to see one of your comrades in arms, so when you pulled Dan, up on the screen, I was like, it immediately made me feel warm and happy. So, it was a nice surprise. And, it's the industry is too small for any kind of, ego and grand. I mean, not that there aren't people that are like that, but I prefer to have like more of a camaraderie kind of feeling with other creators.
And that's very cool that you have that mentality with it. And I wish more people did, because there's more than enough of the pie to go around, and people need to quit thinking that they need to just hover around it. The way I look at it, there's a spotlight that's on comics. And if you have enough people, moving the spotlight in a certain area, it'll be on a certain area. But if you have too many people that are getting over there and trying to hover over it and get more attention, then the spotlight is dimmed to almost nothing. That's one way to look at it right there, that a lot of people need to start really paying attention to, because the spotlight can be a community event. It doesn't need to be a personalized one man, holding the whole weight of the industry on their shoulders. That's not an option with that. No, it's definitely, I mean, it's great to have creators like y'all on here to be able to discuss and delve into that. Go ahead and tell me, Drew, I'm going to ask you this one. What's one of your favorite, most memorable con stories? Being at a convention and having something happen there, something that deals with, a certain person that come up there, or, if a kid come up there and got the comic for the first time and thought it was the greatest thing, whatever.
I think my favorite thing that has ever happened is, the character. There's a character in my comic named Lucy, who is Halloween Man's girlfriend, but she's also a superhero in her own right. And the very first time I had somebody show up like cosplaying as her, because I always had said, like, oh, I'll know I finally made it when I have cosplayers. Like that really, was gratifying. Like my wife has dressed up like Lucy many times at conventions, but and I love seeing that, but it is a bit different when it's like somebody as your character has just, like they're just a fan and they like this character so much they want to embody them for a day. And that just really, I love seeing fan art. I love seeing fan fiction. Like I like that sort of thing. I know some creators, like you talk to them and they're not as happy about unofficial representations of their characters, but for me, seeing, the way people interpret that and interpret my characters, like that's just, it makes me so freaking happy to see that. Like, one of the things about like my fan base that has been great is, a lot of the times, people who have, you know, started out as fans, like they've ended up working on the book. Like, for example, my art director, April, she's somebody that started out by just submitting art to a fan art contest.
Mhm.
And that's something I also like to be able to do, is if I'm able to help people, trying to get their start in the industry, because it's a tough industry, help them build their resume or whatever, that's something very gratifying for me to do as well. I guess that's kind of far afield of your question at this point. I hope I
you're
answered
good.
it right. Cool.
Oh, no, you're good. I mean, I'm not ejecting you on that one. You're okay.
Awesome.
Now, Dan, I got to ask you.
Yes.
And this is not the cookie cutter question, so I'm not going to ask you, did you draw that type thing? But I am going to ask you, in conventions and stuff, because I mean, I know you do commissions and everything too, correct?
Oh yeah, of course.
What is one of the, I'm going to ask, the first question is going to be, what is one of the strangest things that somebody's asked you for that's kind of been like so off the wall that you're like, wow, that sounds so much fun and so cool to do. I can't wait to do it. What's something that somebody has given you like that?
Oh, whenever someone asks me to draw something with my gal the zombie in it, it's always cool because it's like, oh, good, that's my character, but you want her doing something that you came up with.
Right.
So I like that. Or it's I don't do a huge amount of commissions, but I have some interest for commissions. So sometimes, like, I don't have as many crazy stories as some people I know, but someone wanted me to draw like their favorite YouTuber or something like that, and I was just like, okay, like I can draw this YouTuber, like that's cool, but like I had no idea who it was,
Right.
and I don't know if they were a huge big YouTuber or not, but just the way that YouTube has kind of transformed media interests, so that now people aren't just asking for drawings of Wonder Woman, they're asking for a drawing of some YouTuber that they like. So yeah, so that worked for me.
Well, just go ahead and just reach out to me and let me know if someone ever comes up to you and says they want something drawn of Demon Phil, because that would be where I meet my pinnacle at that point. Be like, oh, I'm there.
We'll see. I'll let you know. I'll tag you and let you know.
Now, what is one of the your favorite pieces that you've worked on? Like one that you just sat back going, I cannot believe this went from here to paper and came out that way.
For commissions?
For commissions or whatever you worked on.
Okay. Well, I was really proud of the Archie meets Ramones cover that I got to color.
Mm-hmm.
So that was great. I didn't draw draw it, but I was able to color that cover. And doing that, I made friends with the person who drew it, John Holmstrom. So we've been able to stay in touch, and
Nice.
And that's been pretty cool because I like his work a lot. So yeah, seeing that was cool. And probably let's see. I really liked my Turtles. That was Turtles 101. That was styled after X-Men #1. That one I was really happy to do. And I don't know, whatever I work on, typically, I work on that till it's like my favorite. And then when there's something new, well, then that becomes a new favorite. So.
That is great to be able to sit back and say, whatever you work on becomes your favorite, and then you're good to move on to the next favorite and so on. I love that for an answer, because I hear a lot of people that say complete opposite. They're like, I never have a favorite because I hate all my stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody is their worst, their own worst critic, and
Yeah.
it is to a degree. And then you've got people who come up saying that's the coolest thing I've ever seen, and it takes just that little push to go, "Ooh, yeah, I guess that was pretty good that I actually did that. That actually did work."
Yeah.
But that is great that you have the mentality of you put that much into it, that much passion into your work before it's ready to be, produced out there. And then you go, okay, that was great. Let's go on to the next great one. And then you just keep moving and keep pushing yourself more and more on those. That is the best way to look at it on, I mean, not only doing the artwork, but I mean, just kind of pushing yourself in the industry and in life, just doing everything you can to push forward and never go back.
Yeah.
That is great. Drew, I got to ask you with with the IPs, with Halloween Man, with everything you got going on, with really pushing because Global Comics, everybody needs to go over there, check that out. The link is embedded in the feed, so y'all are able to click on that and very easily go straight over there. We try to do things quick and easy on the shows as best as possible, so you don't have to memorize things as they go past or whatever on the screen. There will be a test afterwards, by the way, but no, we're not going to go into that. But Global Comics is something that is definitely going to, it has a lot of potential to start really get the word out there for it, because people are looking for something different. They're always kind of looking at it. Okay, I've been there, done that. This is the same. This is the same thing here. Hence why the big two are kind of having a problem right now, is because they keep reproducing the same thing. So what's your plan for Global Comics to go ahead and keep it new and fresh and keep bringing more people in on a regular basis?
Well, looking into 2023, I am definitely going to be putting out as much stuff as possible for the next few years, because we're now looking at the 25th anniversary of Halloween Man. And one of the things that is great about doing, small press or indie or what have you, is, Marvel and DC, they have to protect their IPs, and I understand why that's their business model. They're out putting out, Spider-Man or Batman or whatever, and people expect certain things. So there's just certain things that are never going to change about those characters. I see people online going, "Oh, I'm so sick of Batman fighting the Joker." Well, then don't read Batman comics anymore, because that's people pay a lot of money to see Batman fight the Joker for a reason. However, if you are wanting to see characters that can change and grow and go into different places, indie comics offer that, and they've offered that kind of thing for their entire history. So if you are wanting to see a very different group of characters on a personal journey that are not going to end up, when they go through something, it's going to change them. They're not going to change back in a couple of months because the status quo has to be observed. Comics like Halloween Man, that's your bread and butter right there. Please, and it's something you can feel good about, because with comics like mine, literally every fan counts. So you are valued and appreciated, and it's just really important, especially in forms of word of mouth and things like that.
That is great to be able to have. I mean, it's something that I'm trying to think of the exact wording I'm looking for on this, because it's more of a, you're looking at trying to bring in not only the new people, but bring people over and kind of get a movement to get everybody kind of shifted over, to give them an option to go ahead and get something new and fresh instead of sticking with some of the other things. But I love the point that you made, that if it's something you don't like, move on. It's very simple. There's no need to sit there and gripe about it and throw out all the negative things and all the things that you would change or whatever thing. Just change the channel, move on. That's all you got to do. If you don't like it,
there's a comic book out there with your name on it. I guarantee it. That there's no reason to be negative, because with the big two, after a certain point, you get to a certain point, you have to just think, well, I'm not the target audience for this. They've moved on to a new generation, and that's fine. That's the business model. But you know, indie comics, there's an indie comic out there for everybody, and I will bang that drum until my arm falls off. I believe that so thoroughly. And you know, that's one of the great things about Global Comics is you know, they are very focused on indies, and you know, they really believe in that. And I tell you what, like, I know a lot of their plans going into the next few years, and I just think that they're gonna blow up, and I'm happy to be along for the ride with them.
That is great. That is great. Now, Dan, as far as what are some future things that you're planning on working on? What's coming up in your repertoire over there?
I'm not sure. As far as future things that I haven't worked on yet, I need to work more on a Kickstarter that I had launched a bit ago called Mutant Ninja Quarantines. So I need to be getting more of that drawn. And I guess that's the next thing that I really have in mind. I've been able to work on some stuff that, again, I can't announce till I don't think it's been announced yet.
Right.
So I'm excited about that, about some stuff coming up as far as things I've worked on that haven't been released yet. And I always like to do more My Gal the Zombie. Just it's a question of I like to draw it, but I also like to get other people to work on it too. So kind of like Drew said, I'd like to give people a shot that haven't been published before. And I've been able to see some really cool art that way and writing that way. So, and I don't have any turtles in mind to do, but I always want to do more of Ninja Turtles and more Archie. I want to do some more Archie in the coming year. I wanted to do more before the year was through, but just didn't fit it in the schedule. So I'll see what comes out.
And real quick, I want to point out he keeps mentioning about Archie, and that's one of the art pieces that I didn't put here. I can only put so many, and then all of a sudden my StreamYard just kind of acts all haywire.
Yeah.
But I just want to point out the way that he does his Archie. I can see it in my mind's eye, and I'm that old that I can see it in the comics in the newspaper back in the day. It's that same style. It is not the same Archie, but I can definitely see his way that he's doing the style of Archie, and it's right back in those comics. It is awesome to see him in the funny papers because the funny papers have not been out in ages, and I would really love to see him come back. But that is what I'd like to see right there. If that happened and they were to come back, I would definitely want to see Dan's version of Archie in there as one of the front runners. And then, of course, Halloween Man would definitely have some stuff in there because the style is a little bit different, but it definitely fits within the funny pages as well. So again, it's kind of giving it that old school feel with today's newer stuff on there, but still keeping in there with the values, because there's nothing that's going outside of the value tree on there that people are looking at it going, ooh, no, you can't do that in comics. Again, change channel if you don't like it, but there's nothing in these that are actually pushing those boundaries to that nth degree on there. And that's really cool. I mean, that's really cool that y'all are able to just put whatever you like out there and enjoy the finished product, and it's working for you. So in kind of a closing thing on here, I'm going to start with Dan on this one.
Okay.
Dan, I'm fixing to give you full screen on this one, and we're just going to get you to let everyone know where they can go to find your stuff, what you've got available over there, and just let them know why they need to go ahead and get on the train that's going through connorcomics.com. Yep, I went there.
No, that's good. Well, that would be the URL to go to, connercomics.com. Connorcomics.com is kind of, I've got a few different URLs that forward there, but it's kind of just a site that shows my work. It's like a portfolio, shows what I have available, and it shows how you can get in touch with me. Please do if you have any interesting projects going on. And also mygalthezombie.com is where I have, that's the hub for everything My Gal the Zombie. So the reasons that you should check those out are, yeah, I'm getting to do some unique stuff, getting to work on some fun characters and some of my own. So please check my stuff out online. And also on Facebook, it's Crazy Good Connor. You can can find me there, or Dan Connor Comics on Facebook as well. So
Awesome. Well, everyone definitely needs to do that. And like I said, the link is embedded in the feed, so it makes it very simple. You can go straight over there and get into his work. I will say this before we go to Drew on this one. I just want to say that if they're giving the link on there for these things and it has a way to message them or contact them or whatever, if anyone is not aware, it takes like a smidgen of your time to go ahead and reach out and just say that you enjoy the work they're doing. Not everyone can financially support everything that's going on out there. Everyone understands that. But sometimes that one little push that they get from someone who they have no idea who they are through an email, message, text, whatever, that may be just enough to push them for another day or another year or however long they've got in their head that they want to keep going with this, just because it's just a little more affirmation that what they're doing matters out there. And these guys definitely have work that matters. So I want to point that out there before we move on. But get over there, connorcomics.com. But before you go over there and you get too lost in that, we're going to go to Drew on this one. Drew's going to get full screen on this one to go ahead and talk about Global Comics and why everyone needs to get on board with this, because it's about to blow up big.
So yeah, like if you are interested in any of the things that I've said, look, Global Comics is much bigger than Halloween Man. You know, obviously I want you to go to Global Comics, that's comics with an X, and check out Halloween Man, check out Lucy Chaplin's Science Starlet, because that's my work. But they have a lot of amazing stuff on there that's not related to what I'm doing. You know, they have a lot of comics from Top Cow. They have you know, they've been working with John Carpenter's Storm King Productions. There is a lot of stuff to explore on there. And if you want to, you know, have access to just a lot of indie comics, I think Global Comics is definitely for you. Phil, what you just said though about, you know, like reaching out to a creator and letting them know that you've enjoyed that work, bless you for that, because that is the 100% gospel truth, and I appreciate you taking the time to say that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's my pleasure, because I may not be the creative one here. I'm working on something. Let's just say that my first published work is scheduled to come out next year. We're really working on that. I am scared to death, but that's a good sign. Because if I went into this just not scared at all, then I would have no idea what's going on. But the reason I say that is because everyone that I've interviewed, and it's no different than the two of you here today and everything, you put so much passion into your work and into everything that you do. So me being influencer, interviewer, whatever, host, whatever you want to call me, why should I put anything different into there? The way I look at it is, as far as the backers, followers, everything too, if they're willing to go ahead and follow you, if they're willing to go ahead and look at your work, if they're willing to click the link to go over to your page, it takes a smidgen of their time to go ahead and use the passion they have to match yours and just say, good job. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do is say, good job, love the art, keep doing what you're doing. Halloween Man rocks. I mean, whatever you got to say. I mean, just say something to keep these guys pushed and motivated, because sometimes that affirmation, you have no idea how much it means to these guys above and beyond everything else. And sometimes it can push them to absolute greatness that we haven't even seen yet. So you never know.
Yeah.
I certainly appreciate both of you for being on here and being my guest on here tonight. And it was an honor to have y'all on here and be able to talk about your projects and what you're doing within your IPs and within your foundations and building up. And the cool thing is, everyone's noticed from the show that you've got forward motion on everything that you're doing, and you're not planning on stopping anytime soon. So I am honored to be a part of this, to help, motivate and help get the word out there for this. And if there's anything I can do to help, in the process with this, definitely let me know. The Demon Train is definitely on board with this one. But guys, I certainly appreciate it. Thank you very much for being here. I'm going to go talk y'all backstage and do my closing statements. If y'all want to hang out, I'll be out there in a moment.
Okay.
All right. So we had Dan Connor, we had Drew Edwards on here. We're talking about everything from artwork to, the digital setup on Global Comics to everything that goes into what you're doing, the passion that's in there, and everything that's involved in building your IP. Now, every one of my shows always has a closing statement, usually based on one word or so that's said by one of my guests, and I try to go off of that. Now, tonight, that one word is going to be camaraderie. The reason I chose that one, of course, is because of what happened in the green room before we went live. Because like I said, whenever I had these two come in there, it's almost like you're kind of watching going, okay, what's the body language going to be like? Is someone, got the evil eye going over here one way or another? Is there a chair being thrown over the side? We look for those things as hosts. There was none of that. They were excited about it, and they were excited to build up each other automatically. As you saw during the show, they never stopped doing that. That's the great thing about camaraderie. What that means to everyone who's watching this right now, sometimes all you got to do is build someone up to make sure that you get built up in the process somehow, some way. If you go ahead and you step on someone to get above on top of a ladder, the ladder always falls. But if you go ahead and help each other up, the foundation's so much stronger, everybody gets lifted and everybody gets a piece of that spotlight. Something to think about. So until next time, I certainly appreciate everyone being here, taking the time to go ahead and watch the show and get to know my guest a little bit more. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share today. Subscribe, please, so you don't miss any of the amazing content that we're putting on here. We're having a blast doing this. And YouTube is going to start growing a lot more very quickly. Just mark my words on that. 2023 is going to be a huge year for DemoNation Sensation. So please do that, and please share so that everyone else has a chance to go ahead and watch these as well. This is not about me. This is about my guests. This is about their time. This is about their exposure. So that being said, we're going to go ahead and shut this one down for now, but I certainly appreciate everyone watching. Until next time, you already know, keep it indie, y'all.
Settle into sockets, flip the switch and watch them run.